Hello, everyone. I'm Dina DiRoma, and thank you so much for joining me. This presentation took me days and hours to do, so I hope that you enjoy it. I'm going to be as transparent as possible with you, meaning that wherever I could offer you pricing, I will, but there are certain policies that I need additional information from you in order to give you a correct policy quote because it's based on your individual information. So today we're going to go over accident and sickness protection, accident protection, income, sickness, critical care, cancer care, and life insurance. Okay, so the presentation should take about 1 hour to do. If for any reason you can't sit through the whole thing, no worries. Just shoot me over an email. I'll send you the full presentation so you can look at it at your leisure. Thanks again. I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to share my personal story with you and what landed me here. Thanks again for joining me. And for those of you who don't know my story and what landed me here, it certainly wasn't a car accident, thankfully. However, it was my mom. My mom got COVID so bad in the summer of 2021 that she nearly died. She was so obnoxiously reluctant to go to the hospital because she didn't want to get put on a ventilator. And at the same time, her oxygen level was so low that if she didn't go, she literally would have been dead the next day. That's what her doctor told us. So, called the ambulance after much convincing. We got her to the hospital. She was in intensive care for 2.5 weeks and then hospitalized for an additional 2.5 weeks. While she was there, me and my 3 siblings had to take in her mail, water her plants, pay her bills, make sure her pool had enough water in it because she had a slow leak and the pump would turn on every night and we didn't know how to shut it and we didn't want it to burn out. So before the hospital was going to release her, me and my siblings had to come up with some kind of plan of who's going to watch her. She's a widow. She lives alone. How are we going to do this? We're all self-employed. We have our own families to take care of, pets, houses to maintain, and whatnot. And because we are all self-employed, if we don't work, the job doesn't run, right? We don't get family leave or, vacation days, sick days, or anything. We are all self-employed. So we started looking into some home health care agencies. I even have a friend who owns one. Unfortunately, all their nurses were fully booked. So what did we have to do? Our only choice was to get a private nurse, but it cost a fortune. We needed someone to sleep over, to stay with her, make sure she was okay at night. We went there every day after work, cooked her healthy meals, spent time with her. But we were like, how are we going to pay for all of this? Thankfully, after going through her paperwork, we found out that she did have a policy that actually paid her cash benefits for an instance such as this. And that's what made me actually study my butt off, go out and get my life insurance license just so I can sell these policies to help other people. And that's the truth, guys. So what policies did my mom have? Accident and sickness protector and sick pay plus. So accident and sickness protector covers you from the inside out, right? So if you're confined to a hospital, they're going to pay you $165 per day. There are optional riders, which she also had on the policy. If you're going to receive any type of surgery, whether major or minor, they're going to cover you. For major surgeries, 1,000, and for minor, 100. Minor surgeries are surgeries that are performed in like a doctor's office or an ER clinic, things like stitches and stuff like that. Major surgeries are performed in a hospital or ambulatory surgical unit. Okay, intensive care, they pay you $1,250 per day. And for emergency room, if you're admitted through the emergency room, they're going to give you $200. All of this money is cash benefits that are paid directly to you. They don't go to your insurance or the hospitals or anywhere else. You decide what you want to do with money. Perks of Accident and Sickness Protector are that the issue age for adults are between the ages of 18 to 64, and you can keep this policy to 75. If you wanted to cover an unborn child while you're pregnant, you can cover them, and they will be covered from birth to the age of 18. If they're a full-time student, they will be covered to the age of 22. Okay, this insurance is non-cancelable. Your premium rate, is locked in and guaranteed to age 75. So whatever age you are when you take out this policy, that is the premium that you will be paying throughout the lifetime of the policy. So the sooner you take it out, the better it is, because the lower the rates, right? It is guaranteed renewable to age 55, and there are absolutely no reduction in benefits due to age. Your protection is 24/7, 365 days a year. You're covered on or off the job, anywhere you travel. So if you go on vacation and you get sick, you are covered. Your effective date is immediately. You pay your portion of your premium, sign your application, you're covered that evening at 12 o'clock midnight. The eligibility requirements for obtaining Accident and Sickness Protector is that you must answer no to the following questions. In the past 5 years, have you or an eligible dependent received advice or treatment for any of the following conditions? Cancer, diabetes, stroke, heart attack, or heart condition, malignant growth, and are you currently taking medication? And not all medications will disqualify you from the policy, but they need to know if you're currently on any medications. You must currently have health insurance. Your annual income must be at least $18,000 or more. You have to have a good driving record. You cannot be disabled. And if you have any pre-existing conditions, they will not be covered until after 12 months. I had a woman one time, a customer, who had Crohn's disease. And she knows that every so often it is going to flare up. And because it is a pre-existing condition, she still took out the policy because she knew after 12 months that she would be covered, because she will always get episodes having Crohn's disease. So the cost for Accident and Sickness Protector rates for 2022 are the following. Between the ages of 18 and 75, you see for an individual policy is $26.85. Then you have your individual and spouse for $52.33. If you're a single parent with a child, you can cover both of you for $46.15, and the entire family could be covered for $71.62. And of course, you see how the rates will go up the older that you get. The reason why I have this one highlighted, because my mom took out this policy when she was 45 years old. So she was only paying $39.10 for this policy. Next up, we have the Accident Protector. So we'll go over that. The Accident Protector covers you from the outside in, right? So this is anything like allergies, bee stings, burns, you trip and fall, anything like that, you're going to be covered for 22 benefits, all right? If you're confined in the hospital, you're going to receive $150 per day. If you have to go to intensive care, they're going to give you $5,000 per accident. If you took an ambulance to the hospital, we'll pay you $100. If, God forbid, you need an air ambulance, $500. Outpatient things like appliances. If you need crutches, my mom needed a walker, they're going to give you $100. If you receive a concussion, emergency room, these are all covered benefits. In addition to outpatient emergency room follow-up treatments. Let's say you got stitches and you need to go get them removed. They're going to pay you $25. If you went to an urgent care, they'll pay you $100. Anytime you receive a fracture, for a major fracture, it's $1,000. For a minor fracture, it's $250. Okay, so a minor fracture is considered a broken nose, teeth, toes, or fingers. Anything else would be considered a major fracture. Physical therapy, they're going to give you $25 per session for a maximum of 10 sessions. Next, we have some additional benefits: blood and plasma. Family lodging, $100 per day for 30 days over the lifetime maximum of the policy. So for family lodging, let's say you went on a camping trip and somebody got injured. They needed to go to the hospital. They're going to pay you an additional $100 per day should you need to rent a hotel room, because let's say your trip was only planned for 4 days and now you need to stay there an additional 7 days because somebody's in the hospital. All right, so they're going to pay you $100 a day towards your family lodging if you need to spend time at a hotel. Healthcare screenings, you go for them once a year, they're going to give you $50. Transportation, $300 per trip, a maximum of 3 trips per accident. Anything at 100 miles for treatment. So for example, let's say, again, you're on that camping trip, somebody got injured, they're going to pay you for that lodging, but also they're going to pay you transportation. Let's say the hospital that they're in doesn't have the proper equipment to handle their type of emergency and they need to transfer you to another hospital that's within a 100-mile range. They're going to give your family $300 just for that. And you also have an additional thing, which is really cool, guys, is this accident recovery benefit. So that in the event you were hospitalized for 7 days, well, guess what? The 7 days that once you come home, they're going to give you $100 per day for every day you spent in that hospital. So there's $700 towards your recovery. Next feature that they have for this accident protector is an accidental death and dismemberment. Should you never need this, but God forbid, you died by an accidental death on a common carrier where you're a fare-paying passenger. This could be a boat, a train, a plane, a bus. They're going to give your beneficiary $100,000. Is another part of the policy where it's accidental death and dismemberment for any other type of accident. So loss of life or multiple limbs or sight in both eyes, God forbid, they will pay your family $25,000. And if you didn't die, but you but you lost one limb or sight in one eye, they're going to pay you $10,000. Okay, so that is the accident protector. So the perks of the accident protector, again, are that the issue age for adults is between the ages of 18 to 75. Again, if you wanted to cover your unborn child, if you're pregnant, they will cover them from their birth to 18. If they're a full-time student, to the age of 22. There are absolutely no medical questions for this policy. Cash is paid, again, directly to you. And you can use it for anything you wish. You can keep it for life. It's non-cancelable. It comes with the accidental death benefit. The premium is locked in and guaranteed for life. It is guaranteed renewable for life, and there is no reduction in benefits due to age. You're covered 24/7, 365 days a year, on or off the job, and anywhere you travel. The effective date is immediately upon your payment of premium and signature to the application. You are covered immediately, 12 a.m. midnight that day. Okay, so what are the eligibility requirements? You must have at least some type of health insurance. Your annual income must be at least $18,000 or more. You cannot be disabled. How much does accident protector cost? The rates for 2022. For an individual, it is $15.17. That's all it is. If you wanted to cover you and your spouse, $26. Again, if you're a single parent and you have a child, it's $26 per month. And if you want to cover the entire family, regardless of how many children you have, it is $36.83 per month. This is a great protection also if you have children and they belong to sports. Okay, this will cover them. God forbid they're injured on a field, during practice, or anything else. This really is a great protection. My brother has it. And it's funny because the weekend that he purchased it from me, his son, he took all, he has three children, three boys. He took them out rollerblading for the first time. Unfortunately, his oldest son tripped, fell, broke his arm. So this covered him for that injury. Now, another feature I would just like to mention here, which is super neat, is that if you purchased the accident and sickness protector with the accident protector, you're sort of doubling your benefits. So here's how it works. If you are injured, let's say that camping trip, you got injured, you're in the hospital, what happens? Now you're confined to the hospital, so they're going to pay you $165 a day. Plus, since you have the accident policy, they're going to pay you an additional $150 per day, which is actually $315 per day for a hospital confinement. Okay? If you needed intensive care for that injury, they're going to pay you $1,250 on top of $5,000 that they give you per accident for an intensive care. That is $6,250. Okay. Plus, you will keep receiving the $1,250 per day for every day that you are in intensive care. The next cool benefit here is if you required surgery. Again, these benefits will carry over to these benefits right here, right? A major or minor fracture, which if it was a major fracture, it would give you $2,000. If it were a minor fracture, it's going to be the $250 plus the $100. So that's $350 for a minor fracture. Okay. And the last thing here we have is if you went in through emergency room, they're giving you $200 here plus an additional emergency room benefit over here. If I could just find it right here, emergency room within 24 hours, there's 100. So now you're actually getting $300 for that ER visit. So having both of these together is very, very beneficial. And these are the rates for both of them together. And I'll just show you for the top line here. If you're between the ages of 18 to 34, for an individual, it's $42.04. Individual and spouse, $78.33. And single parent with a child, $72.15. And to cover the entire family, it's $108.45. Okay, so that's all the good stuff about the accident and the sickness protection. Next, we have your income protector. Okay, people protect or insure if they have a home. They're going to have homeowners insurance to protect the value of their home should a fire or flood occur, right? You protect your automobile, God forbid you're in an accident, but people never think to protect their income. So that's what income protector is. It's an insurance policy against your income or your lost income due to a sickness or an injury. Okay. So if you're like most people, one of your biggest concerns is the loss of one paycheck, even for 1 week. You depend on your paycheck to pay for things like groceries, gas, insurance, whatever you need to pay, your utility bills for the month, right? So the rule of thumb here is that 70% of Americans would find it very difficult to meet their current financial obligations if they were to lose even one paycheck. So this can basically happen to anyone, right? They say that 1 in 4 people will become disabled before reaching retirement age, right? 80% of injuries suffered by workers occurred off the job, right? An accidental injury occurs in the US every second. And this is not a scare tactic. These are just facts, all right? So in any event, we need to budget in for this income protection just to help us out. God forbid something should happen to us. And basically, here's how it works. So income protector will pay cash directly to you during a covered total disability. They will pay you between $750 a month to $5,000, depending on which plan you choose and your income level, right? You have the choice to choose between 1, 2, and 5 years, right? And also, let's see, again, you're covered 24 hours a day, 365 days per year. And we'll go over that again. But just so you know, it is important that, so that you know, to be considered totally disabled, when you're under the regular care of a doctor and you're unable to perform the substantial and material duties of your own occupation for up to 2 years of disability. So own occupation, I emphasize that word because a lot of policies will cover any occupation, meaning that if you were unable to perform your current occupation, but you went back to work on light duty, or they put you in another position, which was not the position you were doing before you got injured, then they don't cover you anymore. But with this policy covers you if you can no longer perform the current duty that you were hired to perform. And that's very important to distinguish that. Okay. So income protector covers total disability, and it also covers a partial disability, and it has a partial recovery benefit. So you're considered totally disabled if you're under the regular care of a doctor and you cannot perform the duties of your job or any other job. You're partially disabled if after receiving a total disability, and within 30 days of that period, the doctor authorizes you to go back to work on light duty, you would qualify for the partial recovery benefit. And basically, here's how it works. If you do go back to work on light duty and your earnings are decreased by 75% of your pre-disability income, we're going to pay you 50% of the usual monthly benefit amount for up to 3 months. Perks of Income Protector, the age of issue for this is between 18 to 59, but you can keep it until you're age 70, especially if you're not working. So it provides steady monthly income when you're disabled due to a sickness or an injury. The cash is paid directly to the insured to use for anything they need. It's non-cancelable. It's guaranteed renewable to age 65 and may renew each year thereafter to age 70 if you're not in receipt of Social Security retirement benefits. There is also a waiver of premium to this policy. For those of you who don't know what a waiver of premium is that we will pay for your policy for as long as you are disabled, and the policy will remain in effect. There are no long wait periods for this policy. Your protection are 24/7, 365 days a year, on or off the job and anywhere you travel. Remember, this is for both accident and sickness protection. Consider it like a long-term disability policy. Your effective date is immediately, and it's determined by the customer's choice of elimination period, the premium. Okay, so the elimination period, for those of you who don't know what that means, it's the number of consecutive days that you must be totally disabled before your benefits are going to kick in, before they're payable. So you can choose between 7, 14, or 30 days. So you will not get paid within 7 days of your injury, but after 7 days, you will start getting paid. So the shorter your elimination period, the higher the policy rate, just so you know. Also, you choose the covered amount of the policy period. So if you need a disability policy that's going to cover you for 1 year, it'll be less expensive than if you needed a disability policy to cover you for 5 years. This is continuous coverage, so we're just talking about the benefit period of when you're disabled with this 1, 2, and 5 years. Okay. The eligibility requirements for the income protection is that they're going to ask you in the past 5 years, have you taken any prescription medications for sickness or injury or defect? How is your driving record? It's not payable if you're receiving workers' compensation. Your annual income must be at least $15,000 for individuals without supplemental coverage and $18,000 for individuals with supplemental coverage. You must show at least 6 months employment with your current occupation. You must work 30 hours or more per week. And pre-existing conditions are not covered for the first 2 policy years. So pre-existing condition is a medical condition not disclosed on your application for which within the past 12 months before the policy issue date, you received medical advice or treatment, it was recommended or received, or symptoms did exist. Before we get into the next policy, I just wanted to mention to you that there are no rates for me to give you on this one, again, because it is based on the individual. The next policy we're going to talk about is the Sick Pay Plus. And again, my mom had this policy as well as the Accident and Sickness Protector. This provides a total disability recovery benefit if you can't work due to a sickness. This is a great policy. Consider this like a short-term disability policy. All right. The age of issue for Sick Pay Plus is between the ages of 18 to 64, and you can keep it until you're age 72. It provides a monthly tax-free income benefit of $800, $1,000, or $1,500, depending on whatever you choose. The cash is paid directly to the insured, can be used for anything. It provides supplemental income for 3 months per occurrence. Your coverage begins the first day you can't work. You're going to be provided with an insurance card. This pays on top of workers' comp or state disability, and there is no reduction in benefits due to age, and it's guaranteed renewable to the age of 72. If, God forbid, a loss of death, like you experienced, unfortunately, a death, but you had a claim in, your claim is still going to be paid. If that sickness caused your death, like God forbid, my mom went into the hospital and she died there, she would have still been paid on this claim. Your protection is 24/7, 365 days a year, on or off the job, and anywhere you travel. The effective date for sickness protection is 15 days after the application date or is issued, or whichever is later. It's usually 15 days after the application or when they issue it, whichever is later. And the premiums also offer a healthy discount. Eligibility requirements for sickness protection is your annual income must be at least $20,000 before payroll deduction, overtime, and bonuses. You must work at least 20 hours per week. You must be employed at the time you purchase these benefits, but you don't have to be working to get paid. You must reside in the U.S. Any pre-existing conditions are not covered until 2 years after the policy issue date, and you won't qualify if you have 31 days paid sick time or disability coverage that is less than 6 months elimination period. So here are the rates for Sick Pay Plus. There are 4 different class ratings, okay? These crossouts, don't think I'm trying to be sneaky. These crossouts are just because they used to offer a policy that paid you $2,000 per month, but after COVID, they honestly had to eliminate it because they paid out so many claims that they had to eliminate that. So again, you could get paid between $800, $1,000, or $1,500 per month. There are healthy discounts offered. So again, for my mom, because she took out this policy and she was in class rating number 1, she took out this policy back when she was 45. She was literally paying, because she had 2 healthy discounts, and that usually has to do with smoking or non-smoking and things like that. She was paying $62.70 per month for this policy. So between this and the Accident and Sickness Protector, during COVID, while she was hospitalized, she actually received, for the ICU, because she was in there, she received $8,750 because she was in there for 7 days, right? For her hospitalization, because she was in there for 7 days, she received $1,155. And because she went through the emergency room, she was paid an additional $200. So that is $10,105 that my mom got paid for having these policies in effect. Okay. Rate class number 2. Here are your premiums, again, based on these age bands, right? And if you have healthy discounts, the premiums go down. Okay. What determines your rate class is basically height, weight, your occupation, and whether or not you smoke. Okay. Also, I just wanted to mention that. Okay. There is rate class number 3, and we're not going to know this until we put you in the system and get you a quote. But just so that you do have an idea of what you're looking at, again, remember, this no longer is being offered. I don't know why it's up here. I thought I took it out, so I apologize. So that's rate class number 3. And then you have rate class number 4. Okay. These are all your standard monthly premiums. And then remember, if you have the 2 healthy discounts, they'll be even lower than that. So one more thing I just wanted to mention. So I had mentioned earlier that my mom was paid $10,105 on her accident and sickness protector. But in addition to that, on this sick pay plus policy, because she got the policy when she was 45 and she had the highest one of $1,500, she was actually paid an additional $4,500 because for the next 3 months, she received $1,500 a month for the next 3 months. So totaled out to the $10,105 policy, she received a total benefit of $14,605, which was plenty much more than we needed to pay the part-time nurse. Sorry about that, guys. I thought I had my phones on silent. I apologize. Now, if my mom would have had the accident protector in with all of this, she would have even received a recovery benefit for the amount of time she spent in the hospital, about 2.5 weeks or so, I think even more. She would have received that additional income on top of all of this, which would have been nice for her. But unfortunately, at least we got to cover her nurse and she had some additional money put away that she needed for other things. Okay, the next policy we have is the Critical Care Protector. And this policy will pay you up to $100,000, depending on which amount you choose, if you're, God forbid, treated or diagnosed with any 5 specific critical conditions. It's a specific disease policy. Okay, so most of us think it'll never happen to me, right? But critical conditions like a heart attack or stroke can happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time, and any age. Okay, sometimes without any advance warning or symptoms. So these are the facts. About 790,000 people in the US have heart attacks each year, and more than 795,000 Americans suffer a stroke every year. So fortunately, though, because of modern medicine and medical treatments, more and more people are surviving these conditions, but there's a lot of aftercare that's involved with these conditions, right? So let's talk about this. So developing a critical condition can result in a sudden out-of-pocket expenses for things like lost income for both patient and the family member that has to take time off from work to bring them back and forth to the hospital or whatever they need. There are deductibles and co-payments on medical insurance that are not covered, right? Treatments, specific treatments sometimes are not covered by medical insurance, private duty nursing, as I know I have already experienced that, and expenses associated with physical therapy or speech therapy if someone suffered a stroke, right? So God forbid you should suffer a condition like this. Your main focus, again, should be on recovery and not your unexpected costs. So here's basically how it works. Here are the 5 conditions that we'll pay you for. If you, God forbid, needed an organ transplant, that's a kidney, heart, liver, lung, pancreas. If you develop multiple sclerosis, you have heart disease, such as a heart attack or any coronary artery disease. God forbid you should suffer a stroke or have kidney failure. These are the policy amounts that we have between $10,000 and $100,000. How much you need is going to basically depend on what your situation is. And the rule of thumb usually is that you want to plan out for at least 6 months, if at all possible, to a year of what your income would be if you were at work. That's pretty much how you want to figure it. All right. So Critical Care Protector covers you, basically pays 100% of the benefit amount that you select up to $100,000 in one lump sum payment. And upon receiving that payment, this coverage is pretty much wiped away after that. So you don't have a policy once you're paid. All right. Again, the covered conditions are heart disease, kidney failure, multiple sclerosis, an organ transplant, stroke, a life-threatening cancer with the cancer benefit, because there's 2 options for this policy. You can get one that just covers critical care for these 5 diseases, or if you wanted to add a, God forbid, life-threatening cancer protection, there's an additional policy for that. Okay, so basically, this is how it works, and this is what is covered. So for Section 1, if you get a critical care protector with a cancer benefit, it's going to cover you again. Same thing, up to $100,000. The only thing different between these two, the regular critical care protector and the one with cancer benefit, is that God forbid you were diagnosed with a life-threatening cancer, right? They're going to pay you $250 for one time, God forbid, stage A prostate cancer, carcinoma in situ, and skin cancer. All right, so there's two different types of policies you could choose from, and that's totally up to you. So the perks of critical care protector are that the issue age for this is between the ages of 18 to 64, and you can keep it for life. The policy is going to pay you a lump sum cash benefit. You can use it for whatever you need, whether that be lodging, transportation, domestic help, insurance, out-of-pocket costs, whatever you need. It's going to pay you 100% of the benefit, no questions asked, guaranteed renewable for life, and it pays in addition to all other policies you already may have in effect. Your protection is 24/7, 365 days a year, on or off the job, anywhere you travel. The effective date for this policy, there is a 30-day wait period after the policy is issued. Your eligibility requirements for this policy is that your annual income be at least $18,000 before payroll deductions, overtime, and bonuses. You must have health insurance. There are height and weight limitations based on the individual. And then they're going to ask you within the past 5 years, have you taken any prescription medications for any sickness, injury, or defects? You have to have a good driving record. And do you currently have a specified disease policy that covers these 5 specified diseases? Exclusions, what are not covered if you are currently disabled and not receiving, not currently disabled and not receiving disability benefits. Pre-existing conditions are not covered, but the exclusion is waived after 6 months. There is no non-intentional self-inflicted injury and skin cancer, except malignant melanoma, only if it's sold with the cancer benefit, then that would be protected. So here are your rates for the critical care with the cancer benefit. And they go in age bands between 18 to 25. Then we have 26 to 30, 31 to 35, 36 to 40. You see how that works? So basically, these are the benefit amounts. These are for non-tobacco users, what your rates would be per month. And it's pretty inexpensive. These are tobacco rates, right? So that's basically how I outline this for you. There are some more rates, which we'll go over for the next band of ages. Okay. Critical care with cancer benefit, ages 41 to 60. And then there should be another band for the ages of 61 to 64. Here are your rates. Okay, now we'll see the rates for this critical care protector without the cancer benefit. So of course, they're going to be a little bit cheaper. Look, $1.94 for $10,000 worth of coverage, et cetera, et cetera. Again, you have your non-tobacco and tobacco rates. And this band is between 18 to 25. And you see how it works there, 26 to 30. These are all the premium rates. We have our next band of ages 41 through 60 down here. And you can take a look at those. And then we should have the next band should be ages 61 to 64. And these are all your amounts. Next up, we have your cancer care policy. Okay, and there are 3 different benefit plans. One is preferred, one is choice, and the other is standard. And as you can imagine, the preferred would be the most benefit amounts for the most money, right? The choice is going to be your middle of the line benefit amounts, middle of the line premiums, and your standard's going to be the least amount, less premiums, right? So let's just magnify this and see what's actually covered on the cancer plan. I'm sorry that this is in the way. I don't know how to get rid of it. So hospital stays are covered up to $1,000 per day, $750 on the choice, and on the standard, $500 per day. And this is the premium. Intensive care is covered, covers you. You see the amount of days that you're in there, how much it gives you, right? For the preferred, for the choice, and for the standard. Surgery and anesthesia, excluding skin cancer, They're going to pay you all these amounts here, depending on the plan you choose, your radiation and chemotherapy, right? Here we have it, your preventative care, family support, first diagnosis, physician's hospital visits, $100 per day, starting at your preferred down to your standard. You have your inpatient duty nursing, your prescription drugs while you're confined in the hospital, your blood plasma, ground ambulance, and airplane. God forbid you had to take an airplane to the hospital for these treatments. Okay, so Cancer Care Protector, again, there's 3 plans, preferred, choice, and standard. It's going to cover you provides benefits for the care and treatment of cancer specifically, remains in full force and effect throughout your cancer care and treatment. So this one, unlike the Critical Care Protector where they pay you once and it goes away, the cancer treatment is continuous coverage, just so you know. Covered diagnoses are hospital stays, intensive care, surgery and anesthesia, radiation and chemotherapy, preventative care, family support, first diagnosis, physician's hospital visits, inpatient private duty nursing, prescriptions, blood and plasma, ambulance, and airplane. Perks of the Cancer Care Protector. I mean, I don't like to use the word perks because nobody ever wants to get cancer, but that is, the issue ages are between the ages of 18 to 64, and you can keep it for life. So that means it's guaranteed renewable. There is a family plan. You can cover your unborn from birth to 17, and they can keep it till they're age 23, or if they get married, whichever comes first. Policy is paid in a lump sum cash benefit and can be used for anything that you need it for, lodging, meals, transportation. Again, the money from these policies doesn't go to the hospital or anywhere else. It goes directly to you, the policyholder, gets paid directly to you. Policy does not terminate after your diagnosis and treatment. It's continuous, guaranteed renewable for life. Your protections are 24/7, 365 days a year, on or off the job, and anywhere you travel. The effective date for this is 30-day wait period after the policy is issued. Your eligibility requirements for the Cancer Care Protector is there was no diagnosis of cancer in the last 10 years, and if you were previously treated, you must be at least cancer-free from 10 years from your last treatment, from when it stopped. Your annual household income must be at least $18,000. You must have medical insurance, not be disabled or receiving disability benefits. Only one cancer care policy can be issued per member, and it does not pay for losses of any other sickness, disease, or accidents. Remember, this is specifically for cancer care treatment. Here is your non-tobacco rate sheet for your cancer care protection. Okay, again, it goes in bands between the ages of, between the ages of 18 to 44. All right, depending on what benefit amount you choose. Here are your monthly premiums. They show you them in annual, right? 45 to 54, same thing, depending on the coverage you want. This is how much it is, and I assume this is preferred, choice, and standard, right? Ages 55 to 64, here are your premiums. And remember, this is for a non-tobacco user, and for a tobacco user, here are your bands and your premiums based on, again, whether you choose the preferred, choice, or the standard. So also remember that the premium for Cancer Care Protector policy is always determined by the age of the oldest person to be covered. So if it were going to be a family plan, they're going to cover you, and your rate is going to be based on the age of the oldest person. So if it's you and your spouse and one of you are older than the other, that's the one they're going to use for your rate, just to let you know. And the last policy we're going to discuss, excuse me, is Life Protector. This is life insurance. This is a whole life insurance policy. Okay, so that means that it builds cash value, and you can borrow from that cash value if you needed it for anything. All right. The guaranteed coverage is to age 100. Your rate is locked in for life. There is also a living benefit. So God forbid you were diagnosed with a terminal illness and your doctor said, you have 12 months to live. You are allowed to take out up to $75,000 while you're still alive and use that money in case you needed it for anything. Okay, so that's a really good feature of this policy. There are also 2 optional riders, which is the accidental death benefit, and that is the face value of the death benefit will double if the death is caused as a result of an accident. So let's say you took out a $50,000 life insurance policy, and you also took out the accidental death benefit rider. God forbid you were to die on accident, your beneficiary is going to get paid the $50,000 on your life insurance policy and an additional $50,000 because you died accidentally. There's also a term life insurance rider to this, which provides additional protection for a living and death benefit as well. And that could be up to $150,000 protection for 20 years or to age 65, depending on the plan you select. And those also add additional living benefits if you needed to take out the money because you were, terminally ill or diagnosed terminally ill that you were going to die in the next 12 months. So the perks of life insurance are that the issue ages are between 18 to 85, and you can keep it till you're 100. There's a living benefit. Permanent rate is permanent, locked in, and guaranteed. It builds a cash value you can borrow against. It is tax-free to the beneficiary. Your cost is never going to go up. Your coverage is never going to go down. So if you live to be 100, guess what? We're going to pay you the face amount of that policy. Hopefully everyone lives to 100. And here you go. Here's $100,000, right? There's also a waiver of premium. So after 6 consecutive months of a total disability from an accident or sickness between the ages of 16 and 60, we will pay your premiums. They're going to be waived, and your policy will still totally remain in effect to age 65, just to let you know. And that applies both to term and whole life policy. Your protection is 24/7, 365 days a year, on or off the job, anywhere you travel, and your effective date is immediate. Next is your eligibility requirements. What do you need to obtain this whole life insurance policy? Your gross annual household income must be at least $18,000. There are certain height and weight limitations. You cannot be disabled, and you must answer no to the following questions. Within the past 5 years, have you received any medical advice or treatment or taken any prescription medications for stroke, heart attack, or any other heart condition, cancer? Are you an insulin-dependent diabetic? And did you have DUI or reckless driving conviction? Okay, I cannot give you rates on these because these are going to be based on the individual, but I can tell you right now, they're really not super expensive. The maximum amount you are allowed to take out on this whole life of policy is $100,000, but you could always add the riders and they will cover you up to $150,000 max on these life insurance policies, just so you know. Okay, so let's recap everything that we just discussed. that's my presentation, guys. And you can download brochures and applications just by following my instructions here. If you went on to the YouTube link and you just click show more, then you're going to receive the links to the brochures, which I have on my website under DinaDiRoma.com. But I don't know if you're going to be able to find them. It's just easy to click the links, or if you need me to, just send me an email to DinaDiRoma@ia.combine.com. Again, you could also call or text me. I am always here for you guys, and I'll answer any questions that you have. Okay, thanks again. I appreciate it.